Welcome, SnowBee here with my Apocalypse Now mod beginner's guide. We are covering a number of questions that new players may have about the mod. This includes settings, maps, difficulty, menu options, and digging around the first few days of survival in this awesome overhaul mod. This is not a feature dive. That you can find in my What the Hell is Apocalypse Now video. The link is above or below in the description or at the end of the video. An often asked question is what settings should new players start with? When it comes to difficulty, if you're coming from Darkness Falls or any other overhaul mods, then just continue with whatever setting you were playing with at that point. Otherwise, just go with Nomad. You should not have a problem with the game stage getting out of hand too early. So keeping your default experience gain as fine, or even putting it a little bit higher, shouldn't mean that you will be visited by tough zombies too early. This mod has some pretty difficult zombies, but does very well to keep your technology progress in line with your game stage. As a beginner, I would always suggest slightly longer days and shorter nights. Max zombies, I would put this to at least 50 as a beginner and up to 100 or a lot more if you are more than an experienced player. This can even make a difference with zombies spawning in POIs and governs how many zombies are on the map at a given time. For newer players, I would also choose a slightly higher loot percentage. A higher setting won't hurt and will make it a little bit more easier when finding certain loot-only items, as not everything is craftable in Apocalypse Now. Finally, when it comes to the blood moon count, the number of zombies per player during a blood moon, I would recommend not more than 16 for new players. But seasoned vets, well, the sky's yours. I tend to not play higher than 32 though. Besides that, other settings are really up to you and what you likely use to play vanilla or whatever other mod. The Compo pack is part of Apocalypse Now and includes hundreds of custom POIs that have been made by fans of the game, and many of these have been added into the mod. So you can use the random world generator, but it can sometimes crash out while creating a map. I've personally found that if I lower the number of towns and wilderness POIs, it has a higher chance to actually work. I highly recommend though that you use the pre-generated maps that Killer Bunny has added. He will be adding more in the future, some smaller and larger maps, including ones with his own POIs. Now, when you initially start the game on day 1, you are provided with a quest that starts your journey. Just click on it and off you go. Craft a bed, stone axe, and visit the trader. Once that is done, you are now open to do whatever you want. However, if you look under your quest section, you will see that there are a number of class quests that you can complete. Apocalypse Now has a class system which includes 7 classes that are available to you at start. So you can complete starter quests for the engineer, survivalist, hunter, medic, farmer, miner, and scavenger at any time. At the end of each quest, you are given 60 generic notes, and with that you can create your first class book. Or you could just use those notes to create another class book if you want to. Each level of your class requires a class book from those particular generic notes. Scrapping schematics and recipes, which you get a lot of while exploring, will help you along your way. The usual question asked at this point is, what is the best class for a beginner? Well, I personally think Farmer and Engineer are always great classes to invest points into. With Engineer, you have the ability to obtain the advanced workstations, forges, chemical stations, and other workstations that are only provided under the Engineer class. Also, you get the research desk at level 3. Farmer certainly is a good option as it gives an iron hoe after the first quest, so that you don't have to use farm plots. It also provides a steady learning of new foods and drink. However, as all classes are provided at the start, you can look at them and start moving through different ones as the need arises. I think what is more important is asking yourself which skills are needed in your first week. As mentioned, I like engineering and farming skills and getting a couple of points into those, as I think it strategically gives you a good foundation. Besides that, Sexy Rex and Iron Gut are 2 that are also good to boost initially. If you're not doing the farmer class early, then just 1 point into Junior Chef will get you most of your initial survival foods and cooking the stuff that you can't eat out of the tin. Normally, I would suggest Pack Mule, but other than putting maybe 2 points into that, don't waste any more, as it's better off adding them to the modifiers crafting track. From here, right at the start, you have the armor pocket mods, and then immediately after that, the double pocket mod. You'll also find that you can get those pocket mods and loot. One skill you should probably avoid at the start is under the medic called Healing Factor. This will increase your food consumption a lot, especially after taking damage, so be careful with using this. By keeping yourself at max health, you will also burn less food. Weapons and tools are split into two sections in your perks. The first section deals with leveling your weapons and tools and what bonuses it provides for crafting higher level equipment, where the second section on page 3 provides flat bonuses to those items no matter what level of the weapon. Once you get to at least level 40, you can begin to use advanced weapons. Advanced weapons are the same model as the normal weapons, just they do more damage and use advanced steel ammunition. The great thing is advanced weapons can still take normal ammunition, so you don't feel like the old stuff is all gone to waste now. Just be aware that advanced rad remover mods are required once you get to legendary monsters that have very high health regeneration. As a beginner, which is the best weapon? Well, that is up to you and what you are more comfortable with. I did find stamina a bit difficult at the start, so I enjoy the bow knife as it doesn't consume too much stamina, and the spear as it allows me to poke the zombies from a healthy distance. Many tin foods can make you sick. You need to cook the food first, so check their description. You could get lucky, but you could also end up with the shits. Dysentery will give you a massive reduction in food and water, so consuming tin food that leads to dysentery is a chance that you should avoid. There's a lot of raw food scattered all over the place. As a starting point, you can pick up potatoes, corn, yucca, apples, lemons, blueberries, strawberries, and even cherries. You can make baked potatoes, baked apples, yucca juice, or eat the fruit and veggies raw without the need of a grill or a cooking pot. Yes, they don't give that much, but they will keep you going until you can find better quality recipes or make better quality food. With the fruit trees, just hit the tree with your axe to harvest the tree. The tree will bear fruit again the next day. You will notice that there is a lot of animals around, and I mean a lot. Bambi's dad and mother are everywhere. Apocalypse Now excels in the animal department with various versions of wildlife. Be aware that the developer Killer Bunny has a few cousins that can peck and nibble at your feet. If you're doing the farmer class, I would add 1 point into the animal track and another into the huntsman. This will help with getting a little bit more meat and finding animals easier. Farming is pretty easy and similar to vanilla. With the first farmer quest completed, you'll have an iron hoe and can start hoeing the soil, without the need of farming plots. Just right-click on the soil and hoe the land. It will usually change color if it has been hoed. Though one thing to look out for is that when planting your crops, you will be unable to plant them if the soil has not actually been hoed correctly. Otherwise, just use farm plots, but they are initially a bit more resource hungry. So I would suggest just go with the hoeing of land. Water is not required, so you just plant and then wait for your crops to grow, which doesn't take that long. You get a chance to get your seeds back during harvesting, which is the same as vanilla, but this feature will be thankfully removed and updated in a future patch. Finding a base for the night is probably a priority on day 1. Just like Darkness Falls, the zombies come out to play at night. So even on day 1, you will see radiated and feral zombies around. The first night or two can be scary, and I don't recommend exploring if you are a beginner. You will likely get yourself killed. Traders are a good option to house up if you have not found another POI. They do not kick you out at night like they do in the vanilla 7 Days to Die. Traders are also not indestructible. Their bases can be looted and salvaged, but they are very unlikely to die. There are more zombies in cities, and a trader is often on the outskirts of the town and is a good option to house up for the night. You can even use the trader for your permanent base, just you cannot put down a claim block. That is not really a problem, just you cannot pick up your workstations or other items that you've put down. Another option is to build a small shack outside of town, which you can then build onto later. If you are just crouching quietly, the zombies will often not even bother you. Unless you play with feral sense on, well, that's another story. Anyway, you should be able to kill 1 or 2 or more zombies without much of a problem in those early evenings. You just don't want too many overwhelming you if you make too much noise at night. There are wandering hordes in Apocalypse Now, and you should meet them randomly at least once per day. Now, I often say this. Just because a zombie is there doesn't mean you have to kill it. Running away from a horde is not shameful, so running off when a horde rocks up is my recommendation for those early days, and well, whenever you don't feel like fighting them. Once you're out of the same chunk area and relatively far away from the horde, they will just despawn. and you can go back to that area and there shouldn't be any zombies around. Besides the wandering hordes, there are screamer hordes. By doing a lot of activity like shooting, breaking blocks and glass, you can generate a screamer. The good news is that Killer Bunny has decreased the generated heat for most activities by more than 2/3 in many cases. So, shooting your gun can now take 3 times longer before Samara sticks her ugly nose into your business. That means you can shoot more, with no car alarms being set off and limiting the breaking of glass in your first week. It is very unlikely that you are going to see a screamer. At the end of the week, you will probably see your first Horde night. The appearance of tougher zombies is dependent on your game stage, so generally you will get weak, radiated zombies, some normal ones, inferno cops, zombie bear cubs and other wildlife attacking you. Even Casper, the unfriendly ghost, will likely drop around to scare you. For the first few Horde nights, you will get away with any vanilla base. I usually prefer to use a POI, knock out the stairs, maybe put some cobble or stone pillars to reinforce certain areas, and then just shoot down and wait for the night to end. There are many choices for the first week POIs that can be used. I usually like Faber's Water Tower, which has a healthy 10,000 hit points on the center cylinder, more than enough to get the night through. There's also the Industrial Water or Oil Reservoir, which has very few zombies when you first take it out. You'll just have to upgrade the bottom sections with at least a little bit of cobblestone with a claw hammer first. Still, it doesn't take too much to get that upgraded by day 7. Then there is the Mega Silos, which are concrete and have very few zombies in them. This place has potential of a more permanent horde base as well, and is a great choice if you want to just sit around and take it easy on the first horde night or two. You can also easily adapt it to shoot or throw Molotovs down at the zombies. You can do this with almost any kind of POI with 2 floors. Usually something with at least cobblestone or concrete. Ones with large flat roofs knock out the stairs and any means to jump up to you. However, even a barn with wood should be able to survive the first horde night. It just depends on how many zombies you have on that night. In the morning, just jump down and run off. Well, that is it for my Apocalypse Now Beginner's Guide. I'm sure I've missed out some important beginner tips, so please drop a comment. And I will see you in the next one.